Why is it worse in Europe?
So what happens is that the Europe Stock 600 index has a sub-component, category, which is the tech stocks, and there aren't that many of them. There are only sort of 21, I think, and that means that when there is a big movement, it's particularly exacerbated. Now, within those 21 stocks, just two of them account for about 30% of the weighting, and that, of course, is SAP, huge enterprise software company, and ASML, which makes machines, which in turn then make semiconductors. And broadly speaking, they've been able to keep the stocks plumped up a little bit as a group until the past week or so, when a lot of the news flow has been negative for those two, and that's really dragged or meant that the declines elsewhere dragged the rest of the market down.
Now, there are some names on that chart that we don't know as well. AMS, which is a key Apple supplier. Walk us through the stocks that are really dragging the market down.
So AMS is by far and away the worst performer. It's a company that went very hard and fast into the components for essentially 3D sensor. Now, that 3D sensor is what Apple uses in their Face ID array of sensors. They have not met the orders that they were expecting. They've been directly impacted by the seeming slowdown in the order book for the top range iPhones. They are down about 50% this year. Now, the thing is, their weighting in the index is quite small. Now, of course, it is having a real impact. We've then got ASML, which I mentioned, which is, it's a huge company, sort of 70 billion euro market cap, but they are the maker of these machines to make semiconductors. And while they themselves haven't been performing that badly, indeed, they've raised their targets heading into 2020, the slowdown in orders from their competitors, the likes of Aixtron and, of course, Applied Materials, means that has had a carryover into their shares, and that's headed downwards. We've then got Infineon and NXP. NXP bucking the trend perhaps has been up recently, but Infineon, another company which actually supplies the automotive industry, huge exposure there, and feeling some of the pain from the prospect of a trade war with China.
Now, I know it's hard to generalize, but we've talked about how the big screen phones are a huge hit in Asian markets, especially in China. How is the European customer different? I mean, do they have tech preferences that are unique?
Well, it's interesting. In the UK, for instance, the iPhone is massive, but on the continent, Android is a lot bigger. Now, the spending on services is perhaps tapering a little bit in Europe because there is a huge amount of skepticism when it comes to Facebook, Google in particular. Now, that is partly due to the regulatory atmosphere here. There have been more measures put in place which have not only directly punished some of these companies, I think of Facebook and Google in particular, but it has very much changed the mood and the approach towards them, and therefore the willingness to engage with their platforms.